So, welcome, guys. I'm here today because I think it's time for our generation to talk a bit more about the way that it seems that we're gonna have to face the world in a certain way that I don't have a belief that we are talking about enough the way that I think that the world should be faced. And so, with that said, what I think that we should talk more about what's going to be our position in the world, in obviously having in count the way that it's been developing. So, what I think we're going to have some type of revolution in the work. We're always going to face, we're already facing, but we're going to face even more in the future the emergence of artificial intelligence and the way that it can be a menace in certain type of way that we can adopt in seeing them. We can see them as a thing that's gonna be a competition with you, the way that you're gonna act, the way that obviously you need to work towards having some type of interest coming for you, money that you do to buy all that things that you do. And what I think and is some type of rule that always happened and always ruled the way that we have behaved, that is the opportunity cost. We tend always to do the thing that we see that gives us the best type of um, of revenues, obviously having in account what our beliefs that is something that's good or not. And we should even more nowadays look for comparative advantages that we have, and these comparative advantages that should be looked for are the ones that we have in comparison with EA. Not so much with other ones, more with EA. What we can do better than EA will have a lot of time still to in their pathway to reach us in that type of areas. So if we look in then we start looking what was the basis of EA. EA nowadays does a lot of the repetitive work. So if I'm gonna be honest, and if I'm gonna like build a pyramid of the way that we're gonna adopt EA, the first type of jobs probably they're going to be the ones that are repetitive. What I can do, drivers. Probably drivers will be replaced in a certain amount of time, and if you look for drivers are like a population that they are in risk. They do a type of job that can be easily replaced. What they do drive. What they need to drive, they need to like have some type of senses to see, to not have like crashes, and obviously it is something that EA can do. The EA can have ability to recognize images of the world that's surrounded by the patterns, by all the deep learning that is built and is input in the EA. So we should look more for creative jobs, should look more having like ability to create and use EA in a way that it complements us, and not something is not in a way that EA just does the job that I do. It should be I should look for a job that EA can help me, but without EA will not be that much useful if it's not used with a human. And what I can use as an example of job that I think is going to grow up and is growing up, that we should look. Psychologists, what they can use EA, they can use EA in their job, like for example, to always get to remind in their minds what are the type of rules that the humans have and tend to follow and tends to show as patterns that rule the way that we behave. And so the psychologist kind of gets this book, understands that people always act and tends to do things that they're most motivated to. People tends to learn by punishments and savings. It's like what EA does not replace the paper of in the obviously always in the we have to see the point of view of the people that pay. The consumer is the one that defines what's valuable or not, and the consumers today they still see value in persons that they talk to. But obviously, the persons, the psychologists in that case, they have to have approaches to follow the knowledges that they have, like to obviously always to remember, because they are the building blocks of their posture. Everything a therapy that the psychologist gets and builds is wholly kind of based in what he perceives that will be useful and something that's proved. So obviously this requires creativity, this requires adaptivity, a certain type of adaptive type of skills that the psychologist needs to have, and something that Ye still doesn't have that ability, and something a bit more difficult because it's a bit more creative, but it can be useful because it replaces the paper of always having to record laws that follows and happens and determines our behavior. It replaces the paper of one of our components that we have, that is memory, but it will be tending to be replaced by these backgrounds, this type of gadgets that they can have like ability to aggregate this type of knowledges that we can put on them and evocate when we need. And psychologists, they will beneficiate, but I don't think that they will be replaced, because people, I don't see a future where people just talk to a machine and they kind of will just accept it. It's not going to have like that type of thing that's proved, scientifically proved, that we have like a raising in our well-being when we talk to other ones. And so the psychologist always going to have a paper. It's a type of thing that the machine doesn't have. If we talk with the machine, if we were going to do like a scientific type of research, we see that people that do some type of sections with the machines, we even, and having in count all the knowledge that they can have, and even they having the ability to receive the feedback, the particular situation of the people that is attending, is not gonna always be in the maximized potential, because people have that type of feeling that we trigger some type of hormones when we are with others, talking with others. And obviously it's a paper of psychology, it's a skill that he has, and it's difficult to get replaced nowadays. But in the future I see that something that's not to be replaced. In some type of opposite, we have the drivers. So I think we have to look for, and by doing the type of comparison, we have to look, so what are the conclusions that I'm trying to take for you. We have always, and I will look for that, always try to see jobs, works where EA not gonna have the ability of total replacement of what we do, but it will potentialize you, and so increasing what's going to be your potential to aggregate value. And obviously by aggregating more value, you're going to receive more. Psychology that has like a gadget that can always pop up knowledges of what the psychology works, what psychology knows about laws like motivation, like people tend to learn by punishment and receivance. People tend always to do the things that we're gonna spend less effort and we're gonna receive more output, that obviously a good output, that things that are more interactive, that just needs the paper of the psychology, as I has explained, the social connection with other human being that with a machine I don't have, even if it has that knowledge. So it's type of thing that we have to look. We're looking for first principles. We have to look for first principles. We have to look for what's proved that the machines can do, repetitive jobs, having more ability to process information, have more ability to do the evocation of that information, but have things that they can do. So we have to look for, and we have to be reasonable when we do our decisions of the pathways that we follow. And so we have to look for the type of jobs that we see that pattern that Yale will not be able. We see that probably psychologists, people that create enterprise, so the owners, that creative job, the job of creating something that's not repetitive. It's what we have to do, and it's something that I think that it's going to be positive in the future, because what's going to be the type of jobs that's going to be like the ones that we have to do, the ones probably that require more creativity, more that type of reasoning, of creation, that machines still not will be able to do it. And so probably for someone who is good is probably the thing that we like more, but it's probably the thing that obviously is more type of hard to think, to rearrange. The idea is that we have to create something new, as a guy that creates a horror, as a psychologist that has to get that type of sense of the situation, of the type of people that I'm dealing with, even with the knowledge that people, the knowledge that we have in our machines, gadgets, adapt to the situation that I'm facing, is like that type of knowledge that's going to differentiate what's people that there's going to get a work, because it doesn't do nothing than just like doing some type of automations that the machines do. And so we have to look that we're entering in a situation that we're gonna fall like a Pareto. You're just probably gonna do some things. The majority things will be made by EA, but there's some type of spectrum that EA will not do. You just have to focus, be a people that have the ability to reasoning, people that have ability to use EA in the purposes of your job. And so I'm still confident that EA should be seen not as a menace, but as a thing that's going to obviously revolutionize your world, but it will as well change the status quo, and probably people that will enjoy that new wave that will happen, they will be so really successful, and so we have a revolution, and some new peoples will emerge as something that is explained if you look for the biology, the emergence of peoples, of species around the time, whether when the environment changes, and obviously the ones that survive, the ones that have the ability to have the adaptation, that can adapt to a new world with new demons, with a new type of needs. And so what will be required will require plasticity to adopt and understand that the world will modify. We're going to enter in exponential type of changes in the next years. So we're going to have more the ability to be more generalists. We have to understand that probably you're going to have to change careers over the time, but what's going to be praised for us is the plasticity, the ability to learn, and the ability to have the ability to put EA in our work in a way that benefits us, but not replace us, but just have the ability to increment our workflow and obviously make us more productivity, but without us gaining a label of doesn't being needed, and so getting a higher probability of getting cut from the job market. So I'm gonna continue with this series of getting some reflexive thinking about this type of things that happen in the world, and if you like, just give me some type of praise. See you next.